Archie. Let's go ahead on and let's start it and just roll fresh off the top.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, man.
I'm recording.
All right. Oh, do you want to go and do the intro though?
Yeah, I'm gonna go do the intro right now,
Okay.
and then we'll just hit it.
Cool, man.
I like it. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us on the 49ers Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network, brought to you by Replenishing Care Technologies, the future in sports medicine. Check it out at thegruelingtruth.com. I'm your host, Matt Andruscavage, and I'd like to welcome in our other co-host, former 49ers running back, Super Bowl 29 champion, Dexter Carter.
Hey, Matt. Great to be with you on this great day, my man. How you doing?
I am well. I am still marinating in the joys of that win on Sunday. It was something.
Well, it's easy to marinate in a win like that, especially when you had two teams in the 49ers and the Saints that gave you what could possibly be a great preview of an NFC championship game. I would say Super Bowl, but you will never see these two teams in the Super Bowl because they're in the NFC. But, man, what a great game. What a great performance by both teams, including defenses that really allowed a lot of points to be put up against it. But this was just a great offensive show by both teams. And, man, what a preview, man, of what is to come.
For sure. This was by far the game of the year as far as I'm concerned. And if you'd have told me that Drew Brees was going to get 46 points, no interceptions, and at home, I would have said, well, that's going to be a tough day for the 49ers. But, wow, the offense just completely carried the team, carried the day, and got the job done.
And what the 49ers continue to show is that they are a complete team. And what's crazy about it is Garoppolo is getting better, but usually you have the quarterback who is at central point that he's going to win that game for you. And as I said, Garoppolo is getting better, but this team is really complete. Garoppolo, is turning out to be what we thought, but I think he's going to be even better in the months, in the years to come. So this team is going to even be better than what they are now. And, man, it's going to be awesome to see this team continue to develop. You see it at wide receiver. You see it at running back, offensive line. I could sit and say every single position, but they are surely showing that they are a team that isn't a fad, isn't a short-term fix. This is a team that has been built for success over the long term, and they have depth that is out of this world, that when guys go down, they're not lacking anywhere. Now I hope Sherman, isn't going to be a long-term issue with I think his hamstring or quad, one of the two. But this team has really, really done well putting this team together. Or I guess you could say, as we always talk about Lynch and Kyle Shanahan putting this team together. But, man, they have done it for the long term.
That's what I really like about this team. It doesn't have a flash in the pan look to them. They are built for the long term. They are built for the long haul. And like you said, they seem to be getting better every week. They have won how many different ways this year? It doesn't matter if it's a monsoon in Washington where it's all field goals. It doesn't matter if it's a shootout on the offense like we saw this week, a defensive struggle like in Baltimore. It doesn't matter what the conditions are. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are. This team matches up with anybody, can play any style, and they can beat you so many different ways. And they're only going to get better. And now that I think Jimmy Garoppolo is starting to really answer a lot of the questions. There's plenty of people that really thought he could be like this, but there's also a lot of people that weren't sure, and I think are starting to come around. He's showing that he's worth every bit of that contract. I mean, he's still like the 20th highest paid player in the league, or quarterback in the league, because of the way the market is, but it was not a wasted contract, and they just win games, and that's what's so great about him. He finds ways to win. And everyone seems to step up when needed. Now we'll talk about the injuries a little bit later, but that's the thing I like about this team is they've gone through it. If you'd have told me they were going to be 11-2 and they're going to be without their starting left and right tackles and the swing tackles gone, I just said you're crazy. And all the other injuries that they've had, they've been nicked up a lot this year, but they find ways to win. Guys have stepped up, and it's just been a really fun year so far.
Yeah, and two key things. One, I think coming out at the beginning of the game, first quarter, it seems like it was an all-out slinging battle.
Yes.
When Drew Brees comes out and and he hits Kamara and then scores a touchdown with Jared Cook, the 30-yard bomb, and then Garoppolo comes right out, throws three straight long balls, to Emmanuel Sanders, who is very quickly, coming over from the Broncos and exceeding all expectations, in my opinion. But he and Deebo Samuels, who still, the rookie continues to step up and do his thing. And then, of course, the touchdown to Bourne. Bourne is stepping up and doing what I thought Pettis was going to do, but Bourne has stepped right in and picked it up. And, man, boy, he is a key cog in this here offense. But what a great start, to the game. Drew Brees comes out, does what he's supposed to do, and Garoppolo says, hey, you know what? I'm just going to do what we do. We've always done this. I'm going to come out slinging it too. And, it just showed, just gave a preview of what the game was going to be. But, man, who would have thought 40-plus points would be put up by Brees and he would lose? But the key thing is, one, he didn't have the ball last. And what Kyle Shanahan did, he put the ball on 4th and 2 in the hands of the guy that I want to put it in if I got a chance to win. And, boy, he put it in Kittle's hands, and Kittle said, man, put it on my shoulder, big dog. Put it on my shoulder. I got this. And, boy, was he a beast. He just showed exactly why, in my opinion, if he is not the best tight end in the game, he is arguably one of the top 2 or 3.
Oh, man, you said it. First, Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne, I believe all but like 5 of his catches this year have either gone for a touchdown or have converted a third down. That is clutch. That's the kind of thing that they've needed out of him. He's a possession receiver, but he doesn't just make 5-yard catches over the middle on, 1st and 10 or 2nd and 20. He makes big-time catches in the red zone for touchdowns, and he also is really good at moving the chains. He showed it. He only had 3 catches for 18 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns, and the other catch converted a big third down. So Kendrick Bourne, you're right. He is stepping up. I think we'll see more of Pettis maybe later in the year or into next year. I think he'll bounce back after a disappointing season. But you talk about Emmanuel Sanders. That first drive, responding to Drew Brees, that was really big because a lot of teams, when they get into that dome and Drew Brees gets hot, it gets demoralizing. And you can see teams fall apart fast because New Orleans defense is pretty good. And when they can get a stop on you and then get it back into Brees' hands and they get another score, a lot of times it's over for the opponent. But Jimmy Garoppolo comes out, hits Emmanuel Sanders, Deebo Samuel, and they just answer. And that was really important. But it didn't just stop there. You saw Brees go right down again. They were up 13-7, then 20-7. And all of a sudden it's 20-7. You're like, oh boy, Jared Cook's got a couple touchdowns. Drew Brees getting hot. All of a sudden we see that bomb to Emmanuel Sanders. That was a huge play in the game. What a wonderful play by Emmanuel Sanders, being able to track that ball, the heads-up play of getting up when he realizes he was touched before he caught the ball, going all the way for 75 yards. Now it's 20-14, but then they answer again, 27-14. Does it phase the 49ers? Absolutely not. They go right down again, 27-21. They get the ball back, and it's 28-27 at the half. Drive after drive after drive. It didn't matter what the Saints did, no matter what they threw at him. Jimmy Garoppolo in the offense responded every time. And to be leading at the half after getting down by 2 scores twice, that was amazing to me. That was such poise on the offense. Awesome play calling by Kyle Shanahan and just everybody stepping up when they needed to.
Yeah, and there are many reasons when you're down 20-7 to not necessarily throw the hat in because they're too professional for that. But when you're going up against a team that usually, again, they're going to score 40 plus points. You know what I'm saying? So usually you don't have a chance, to come back because it will be you would think, man, the defense cannot let them score 40 points and we still win when we're down 20-7. But I tell you what, defense still fought now. They had points scored on them, but they fought. But the offense didn't give up. And most important thing is Kyle Shanahan continued to look at that, look at that creative book that he's got and continue to call the plays that would confuse the great, in my opinion, New Orleans defense. And one of them was, the pass from Sanders, for the touchdown to Mozart. He just pulled out everything in his playbook. The dude is so creative. He gives his playmakers a chance to make opportunities. Offensive good coaches usually create mixed matches, with their best players against, secondary people, linebackers, etc. But Cal Shanahan is doing a tremendous job of not only creating mixed matches, but using his entire playbook to make his players successful, give them the best opportunity to succeed. And man, did it work on Sunday.
Yeah, you're talking about going deep into the playbook. We saw a lot of things. Now, first, obviously, the reverse to Sanders for the throw. And, man, did he make a good throw because the linebacker was there closing in on him, and he made a perfect throw, showed his arm strength, and Mostert is sitting there wide open on, like, the 15-yard line for a touchdown. That was huge in the second. That was still in the first half. What a response. I think that was the one that cut it to 27-21. And when that play happened, you're like, all right, wow, this is something. They've got passing, they've got running, and now we've got some trickery. But it didn't end there. We saw Deebo Samuel take that run. It was the exact same play they ran in Carolina when he had like a 20-yard run. It only netted a couple of yards, but when you saw him run that inside end around to Deebo Samuel, it was like, all right, well, it looks like Kyle Shanahan's pulling out all the stops, and he sure did. But then we saw one of the plays that really caught my eye was the option run where they handed off to fullback Kyle Juszczyk on the inside. Mostert's sitting there on the outside. Juszczyk goes inside, and the linebacker's right there, and Juszczyk pitches it to Mostert, and he went for like 20. What a play. Just so much trickery. We saw another end around on the final drive, or one of the final, not the final drive, but the second, the 49ers' second to last drive. Deebo Samuel took an end run around for like 30 yards, but it was play after play, response after response. It didn't matter what the Saints did. Kyle Shanahan found ways to get everybody involved, and everyone stepped up.
They did. And what both teams did at halftime, although the first half was big halves by both teams, they came out after adjusting in the second half. So the defenses did rise in the second half. Both teams made the defensive stops that they needed to, made the turnovers that they needed to make. You had a game of mostly field goals. But I tell you what, the Kittle's touchdown made all the difference, in the world. But the defense, the Saints, they came out at home and did what their crowd thought they were gonna do. But again, the big difference, in my opinion, for the between the 49ers going to Baltimore and going to the Superdome in New Orleans was the 49ers stayed in Florida. Instead of going all the way back to California, they stayed in Florida and they practiced. So it made the trip to New Orleans shorter. So the acclimation time distance, didn't have an effect. So I really, really believe that made a difference. Now, they still played well in Baltimore. And yes, I'm not throwing out all the excuses for the time change, but I think that was very smart by that 49er organization to plan ahead of time and say, you know what, we're going to stay on the East Coast and we're going to give our players a chance to truly acclimate to that East Coast time zone because it is a difference. And I tell you what, I personally think that helped because when you can go head to head with Drew Brees, and that one of the best head coaches in the league, there in New Orleans. I mean, I'm telling you, head to head, and then the second half make adjustments and still come out and beat the Saints in New Orleans. Man, this team was already confident. This team already knew what they could do. They knew what they had. But you know what? This here just continues to show them that, one, they are who they thought they are, or who they thought they were. They are that team. So,
Yeah.
So this team here is where they should be. Number one in the NFC, number one in the NFC West, back in position for a first round bye. And I'm telling you what, I don't think anybody can beat them in the NFC West if they've got home field advantage.
Yep, I see that completely. I see that the exact same way. If they can hang on and win this division, they are set up to do great things this season. We could go for a long time on so many of these drives, on so many of these plays that we saw. But that would be a very, very, very long show. But
absolutely.
But I think you're right. I think they did the same thing weeks 1 and 2 when they had to start the season at Tampa Bay and at Cincinnati, and there was that heat wave in early September, and they stayed out on the East Coast, and it was talked about by like preseason that they were going to do the same thing against Baltimore and New Orleans and stay out on the East Coast. And it's smart because you want to cut down that travel. You want to get players acclimated to the time change. And they also said that after this game, I think it came out on Monday, that trip really brought the players closer together because they spent so much time together over that week and a half. So that was really good to see. It's great to see them come out and during what was said to be the most difficult stretch in NFL history, playing 3 teams with over an 800 winning percentage in a row, and they came out 2-1 and lost the other one at the buzzer. I mean, what a gauntlet and to come out 2-1, and they won those all important conference games. If you were going to lose one of those, the Baltimore game would be the one that I would pick. I would rather have them win the very key NFC matchups and get those tiebreakers, and they were able to do that in the last one on the road. So many good things, so many awesome plays, and just something about that game. It was one of the best games I've ever seen. And even when New Orleans went up at the end with 53 seconds and all 3 timeouts, I'm like, this is all right. It's only a 1-point game. And I think that's really there's 2 things to me that kind of get lost in the shuffle in this game, because we want to talk about all the offensive fireworks and the play calling and all the trick plays. But to me, the 2 things that get lost in the shuffle here, the defensive plays that were made. Let's not forget about DJ Jones's strip of Alvin Kamara.
Oh, that was awesome.
Wasn't that huge? Because, okay, the Niners come out, they're leading 28-27. They get the ball. We're thinking here, all right, let's put another 7 on the board and take control of the game. But that didn't happen. New Orleans cuts the lead. And at first they take the lead. Niners come right back. And I'm sorry, I'm going to start that over. The Niners ended up losing the lead because New Orleans took all the momentum. They get the ball back again, only down by 2 points. And you're thinking, oh man, this is going to be kind of rough. So New Orleans is up 30-28. They got the ball, and DJ Jones strips Alvin Kamara. Huge play on the 20. And then they respond with a George Kittle touchdown. That play, they don't win without that play. That was such a big defensive play. And then I'd say the other one that gets lost in the shuffle, the difference in the game were the 2-point conversion attempts. When Jared Cook got hurt in the end zone because Ahkello Witherspoon kind of got him, he bounced his head off the turf, and I think he went it out with a concussion. They moved the ball up to the 1-yard line, and Sean Payton decided to go for the 2, and it didn't flinch. The 49ers did not flinch, and they stopped them. And then at the end of the game, they're up 46-45. They decided to go for 2 to get that lead up to 3. And the coverage was there, and Drew Brees could not convert that 2-point conversion. Those stops were the difference in the game, because now on that last drive, you're going, okay, it's 46-45, 53 seconds to go, all 3 timeouts. Hey, they only got to get in field goal range, and Robbie Gould can win this. And boy, did they get in field goal range.
Oh yeah, I think I might have been able to kick that field goal, and I can't kick a lick. But but I tell you what both teams showed was that this is a hard fought, well rounded game on all sides of the ball.
Hmm.
Now the one thing that one I said it earlier that this was a true um uh possibility, just a glimpse of high level performance by both teams that could very well be a preview of the NFC, conference final rematch. But one thing that's key for both of these teams is neither of these teams are truly healthy. Now, that's not making excuses for either team,
Hmm.
but they're only going to get better, getting guys back that are healthy. And again, Drew Brees did some things that are out of character, but to me, out of character means that one, the defense is doing what they're supposed to do. So it's not a discredit to the 49er defense. It's just that one, they dictated things. Drew Brees usually makes 2-point conversions. Why would he not? That's why the plays are called, because they think he's gonna make it. You
Hmm.
know, Kamara, in my opinion, he had that ball high and tight. I call it as a running backs coach or running back, high and tight. Squeeze that elbow to the ribs. But the way that ball was stripped, there is absolutely no way many people could have held on to it. So that was, you mentioned about how key that play was. That was an extremely key play because if that wouldn't have happened, we all probably would have betted that Breeze would have driven that team down into the end zone. But you
Yeah.
know what? Yeah, but you know what? That was a key turnover, gave New Orleans, one less chance to score, and the 49ers took advantage of that turnover.
Yeah, that turnover was really huge because I really felt like New Orleans had taken control and, like you say, were dictating the tempo, dictating what was going on. And I felt like they took all the momentum back that the Niners had taken at the end of the first half, and they were controlling the second half, and that was not boding very well for San Francisco. But they took everything right back on that play and took the lead. And it was New Orleans that had to settle for field goals, and then the Niners went down and scored again. So it was just such a big play to give the Niners that boost in the second half.
Yeah, yeah, and one more key because there was a lot of keys in this here
Yes, there
game.
were.
Hey, a lot of keys, but I think it was 35-33 on that crucial third down, and Fuschek appeared not to reach, I guess the third down conversion, but then there was that flag for that forcible contact to the head.
Yes.
That was really, really key. You know what? And that extended the drive, leading to another touchdown. See, that's that's to me goes to the same category as the Kamara strip. Taking it away from Drew Brees and going down and scoring. Same thing happened on that flag. You know what? The 49ers got that, extended drive, went down and scored. So those things, you know what? That's just opportunistic plays. You know what? You take advantage of them. And Kyle Shanahan has that playbook ready in those opportunities, and he's running the right plays at the right time in the majority of situations. Because no coach is going to be perfect. And we complain about a lot of plays that are called. I've been a play caller. You can't get them all right, but you got to keep moving forward and not think about how you're being judged at that moment. And Kyle Shanahan is doing a tremendous job of that.
Yeah, to me, that is really one of the biggest things about this team is the adjustments made by the coaching staff, the play calls by the coaching staff to set up the offense and to set up the defense in good position to make the plays. And so that's one thing that they just haven't had that for so long. And now you're seeing with to me the most complete roster in the NFL. You mix that with this coaching staff, and you really got something special. So I look forward to them, in these last 3 games of the regular season to take care of business. And now, first up in this last 3-game stretch is the Atlanta Falcons. They're out of the gauntlet. They're not in the road anymore. No more long East Coast travels. Now they're at home for the next 2 games, and then they're only traveling for the regular season will be just a couple of states up north to go to Seattle. So they're not like it's not like they're going to be traveling very much. They get to be home. I know they're not going to rest on their laurels and just take Atlanta for granted because they still got Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, which can put up a lot of points. And so you still got to take care of business, but they're going to go in a little limping a little bit. There were some injuries. We'll cover that real quick. Richard Sherman did have a grade 2 hamstring strain, and they say he's going to miss potentially a couple of weeks for sure. I'm sure they're going to rest him this week and just let Emmanuel Mosley and Nikello Witherspoon, who both have shown to be quality starters. So I think they're just going to let those guys start, get Sherman healthy. If he plays against the Rams, awesome. Otherwise, just save him for Seattle. Do what you can do with your depth to get through those last 2 games. And then we also saw, unfortunately, Weston Richburg, the center, who's having a great season, tore his patella tendon. And a friend of mine actually told me about the injury before it broke because he was on the plane with Weston Richburg's mother and actually saw the pictures. And it was pretty gruesome. Just feel so bad for him and him and his wife are having a baby very soon. Now he's got to deal with all the rehab and it's just an awful injury. But I will say this: Ben Garland, the backup center, stepped up and he made a lot of really key blocks and only gave up 1 pressure in 25 snaps. So I feel like they're going to be okay at center. We'll see how it goes going forward. And there's a couple other things. D Ford re-injured his hamstring. He just came off being gone for 2 weeks. I don't think he's going to be back until the playoffs. They say 2 to 3 weeks. I would just rest him, bring him back for the postseason, let him get totally healthy. And I know there were a couple more. It's slipping my mind at the moment, but those were the major injuries. So we'll see what happens with practice coming up over the next couple of days. We'll see what happens with Jaquiski Tart. And DJ Jones also had an ankle sprain. He's day to day. So all in all, they're relatively healthy, but they're nicked up on the defensive side of the ball. But we'll see how it goes going forward. They do have a lot of depth.
Yeah, and depth is one of the reasons for the success that they've had. And you hate to see anybody get hurt. And Sherman has to be really careful with that hamstring because D Ford, it's showing you when you come back too soon, you're going to re-aggravate it. So will he be missed? But I think that secondary is, as we've talked about, there's good depth there, but they're going to have to rise because if you noticed when Sherman went out, his backup, in my opinion, got taken advantage of. He seemed out of position, out of, where he didn't make plays, and Drew Brees, took advantage of it. So a week of good practice, with him getting more, practice time, I hope will help, but again, I'm going to stick with the fact that they've got good depth. That includes the defensive secondary. So he's got to have a good week of practice to fill in for Sherman. And going to the Atlanta Falcons, who have won 3 out of the last 5 games, in my opinion, they're like the Rams. They're playing, pretty good ball, right now. In one of those 3 wins, they beat the Saints. The Saints have also beat them, but they played fairly well. So although they're going to the West Coast, going into Levi, I wouldn't take them for granted. And I don't think the 49ers are going to take them for granted. This is one of those the 49ers should win, and I think they're going to prepare the way they've prepared all season. And that and coaches, players don't necessarily want to think about former teams, but I'm sure there's some thinking, from the Falcons that Cal Shanahan used to be their offensive coordinator, and Cal Shanahan, in my opinion, isn't really thinking about it. But hey, nonetheless, it's a key NFC matchup, and the 49ers are going to come out and play the same way that they played. So they're not going to take Atlanta for granted, but I still think it'll be a good game. But I think the second half, the 49ers will run away with it and win this game by, 2.5 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's kind of where I've got it at. I've got like a 14 to 17 point win too. I think you're right. I think we're going to see the offense play very well, but I see the defense tightening up for sure in the second half. Atlanta's shorthanded as well, especially on defense. Now Marcus Trufant's out for the year. Calvin Ridley on the offensive side of the ball is out for the year. So Atlanta's shorthanded as well, and they don't really have a lot to play for other than to be the spoiler for their former offensive coordinator. So it'll just be important to get pressure on Matt Ryan. make him very, very uncomfortable, and don't let Devontae Freeman, who really hasn't had a good year all year, do anything in the ground game. They've got to be able to kind of turn off that ground game and just get after Matt Ryan. I think if they can do that, they're going to be fine everywhere else. And I think the offense just got to let the offense do what it does. Take over with the ground game, get more carries to Matt Breida, Raheem Mostert, Tevin Coleman, whoever is the hot hand, just keep feeding them and just kind of run out the clock and get out of there with a win. So it's a very big game because that's a game. It's an NFC game. You don't want to lose it because it's a game you should win, and they can clinch a playoff spot with a win here. So they're going to need to win that game because those last two division games are going to be tough. They're going to determine everything. So they got the Rams and then they got the Seahawks. So you can only get one win this week. So they're going to be focused on the Atlanta Falcons, and I think you're right. They're not going to take them for granted. Niners will come out of there with I'm going to say 31-13 win.
Oh man, you were pretty close to, what I was thinking too. I think it'll probably be. I don't see Atlanta scoring more than, 2 touchdowns. So, I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be, 32-12. I think it'll be all field. It's gonna be
1 point on each side. That's awesome.
Hey, that's right. It's gonna be all field goals for Atlanta. They're not going to score a touchdown.
I like it. If that happens, they're definitely going to lose. So that's perfect. So yeah, all in all, what a great week. It's been such a fun year. I feel like after all the first few years we did the show, we had to talk about some pretty awful football. And this year has just been anything but that. It has been such a fun year. So much fun to talk about this team, and always a pleasure to do the show with you, my friend.
Absolutely. I look forward to it, man, whenever we can get together. And it's always better when we have the product to talk about the way that we have, today with the 49ers. It's like the 49ers of old. You know what? Hey, we're used to Super Bowls, and I don't see why the destination shouldn't be Miami this year for the 49ers the way they're playing.
Yep, I agree. And this is the 25th anniversary of the 94 team, and that Super Bowl was also in Miami. So I'm hoping more of the same this year. All about that trip to Miami. That's right.
That was Fort Lauderdale. Miami was my home back then. So hey, I had the privilege of having a whole week there in my house and hanging out. George Seifert let me stay home for about 2 or 3 of the days, but as long as you show discipline and you get to practice on time and, and you're getting your proper rest, the George Seifert, man, he was great about that. So, hey, I still appreciate him for that, still to today. And we went out and did what we did, brought home, the 5th Super Bowl in the history of the 49ers.
Yep. So hopefully we're going to see number 6 this year, and it'll be great to talk about if that were to happen.
Absolutely.
All right, everyone. So we're going to sign off for now, but we want to thank everybody for listening. Be sure to catch your 49ers this Sunday against the Atlanta Falcons at 3:25 Central, 4:25 Eastern in Levi Stadium. If you're going to the game, wear red, be loud. The 49er faithful sure showed up in New Orleans. That was the other thing that I forgot to talk about. What a showing by the fans. You could see all the red in the stands, and wow. So, the players appreciate it. The coaches appreciate it. The fans have been great this year. So rep your team, be loud, wear red, and hopefully the 49ers are going to come away with a win this Sunday. And we will catch you next week. And we will catch you next week right here on the 49ers Weekly Show. So for Dexter Carter, I'm Matt Andruscavage. You've been listening to the 49ers Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network, where the legends speak. Well, I would say that was probably our most energetic show. I love it. I love the fact that we just started the show right out of the gate and just went with all the high emotions. That was a good call.
No doubt about it, man. Hey, and you're gonna make it sound awesome as usual, man. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, man. So thanks for squeezing it in. I will get this edited today. It'll be live tomorrow. So, hey, always great to talk to you.
Hey, same here, man. Hopefully the family's doing well, man.
They're doing good. My wife's getting over a cold, but we're hanging in there. We're trying to get ready for all the holidays, and same to you. Hope all your kids are well, and hope things are going well for all of you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, just doing basketball, doubling up with still all-star football, man. So it's freaking heck of still busy, man.
I
And
bet.
I tell you, I've been thinking real hard these last few days because I'm so comfortable with my life now, and
Good.
especially with the kids. I mean, just so busy with them. And then I thought about, man, do I want to coach again? Do I want to pursue, maybe the new Florida State coach, about being on the staff there,
Mm.
or University of South Florida in Tampa, the guy that got the head coach there from the co-offensive coordinator at Clemson, his dad recruited me at Florida State, and he's still the associate head director at Clemson. So I thought about contacting them, man, but man, that job is so time consuming, man. I just don't
Yeah.
know. You know, my daughter said she would be all for it, even though she's gonna be a senior next year. But I know, you're talking about a 7 to 10 schedule, man, that it's just
That's rough.
hard. Yeah, it's rough, man. A lot of perks, man, but is it worth it at this juncture in my life?
Yeah.
But then, like my daughter said, hey, we're gonna be all gone soon. What are you gonna have? And I'm like, oh hell.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, and she's right. I'll be sitting right here. But I don't have no problem just sitting around. You know what I'm saying? So that's the one good thing about it. Now if I just want to break the bank and coach and make money, but am I gonna miss valuable time of my kid's life that, or the perks worth
Yeah.
all that at the end of the day? But then if I did it, who knows? Short term, it might get Dexter, transferred in his last year.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It could give the kids a great opportunity to go to college there. So, oh man,
That's a lot of decisions. I'll be praying for you, bro. That's a
yeah,
big
man,
decision. You think
yeah.
you'd have a reasonable shot at getting on the staff or being the head coach?
Oh no, definitely not the head coach because they just hired head coaches.
Oh, okay, I didn't notice
Oh,
that.
oh yeah. Florida State hired the head coach at
Okay, so
Memphis
you're
State.
you're you're shooting for the staff then.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
Staff.
gotcha.
Yeah. So
Which you already have experience and
exactly. So it changes the narrative from trying to get a head coaching job, which would be literally 0 to 0 chance,
yeah,
to being on the staff. So there's a good possibility of being considered.
yeah. Wow.
Hmm.
Well, I'll definitely
So
have you
with
in my prayers, man, because that's a big decision. It affects the family, and you got to do what's right on all sides.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
You
All
got
right,
it.
well, have a great day, man.
You too. You too. Well,
All
we'll text and we'll shoot for next week.
all right, we'll see you, big man.
All right. Take care.
See you.